Day 5 of training camp saw no pads and light work to no work for a few star players, while the Tet Train has left the station and a couple of players in the secondary have stamped their marks as possible roster breakers. Want to find out who these players are? Want to find out who these roster breakers might be? And how the Tet Train is shaking up so far? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you all so much for joining us on this edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo, and I hope you guys are doing great, as it was another hot and muggy one here in the Deep South, as it was all over the place. So, I hope you guys are staying hydrated and staying cool. But I just want to take this minute and throw out our sincerest condolences and our heartfelt prayers to those that were affected by the NFL HQ attack. We pray that our hearts, our prayers go out to the families of the victims and those affected by it. We pray that you guys seek comfort in these moments, and I hope all of you guys out there show and have compassion for the ones that were affected. Thank you guys for sharing a moment of reflection and a moment of prayer for these people, as this was an unfortunate incident. But let us look to the brighter moments, shall we? Let us look at day 5 of padless day 5 for the Carolina Panthers, as there were several players that were off today. But before we get into that, let us get into a little bit to the home business, which is you guys. I want to be able to always hook you guys up and be able to show you guys what you're doing on this channel, as there were a handful of more people that have shown up and shown out. I'm so grateful, but I don't have your names down there, guys. Listen, I need you guys to be proactive in putting your names down in the comments. I want you guys to be a part of the t-shirt drawing when we have it. I want you guys to be a part of that. You know, you can't do that if your name is not in the drawing, and you definitely have to get your name in the drawing. But let us look, as like I said, I just released a show last night. I got 5 likes and only 48 views, but I got 2 more of you guys to sub. So that's amazing stuff that's going on right now. You guys keep doing what you do and keep watching the content. You guys let me know what ways I can do to make this better. The Princely show is up to almost 1,600 views, you guys. So please, definitely, if you're watching the content and you like it, please comment. And if you don't like it, please comment. Tell me what I can do to make it better. I listen. I'm not like a lot of content creators. I do listen. But there are no new comments or new subscribers that I can report at this moment. But I do have a new report from training camp this week. So let us get into it, as certain reports show that the Tet Train has left the station. And there being the reason is that Ted McMillan is doing what he does, just continuously does. Of course, today it was no Mike Jackson and no J.C. Horn out there in the secondary. So it was a bunch of guys that are out there getting extra reps, either trying to make the team or trying to make that second position. And we'll discuss that here as well, finding out who's going to be that third guy or that fourth guy in this case. As we know, Shaw Smith Wade is our nickel guy, but that could change. I mean, we could be seeing a influx of Mike Jackson and another individual. But let's talk about the Tet Train first. Early in the individual receiving drills, quarterback Bryce Young lofted a throw that first-round pick Tetairoa McMillan went high for, twisting his body to adjust for the ball before coming down with the catch. He made a similar catch in team drills. His 6'5" height and ability to track the ball makes it easier for the 5'10" Young to make off-platform throws. I love having a basketball team out there, says Coach Dave Canellis. He wasn't just talking about McMillan because, guys, I've said this before. You've got the 6'3" Leggett and Coker, which is why I think it's so important that Coker stays on this team because you still got bigger receivers. Then you go 6'2" Adam Thielen and, of course, 6 foot David Moore. But then, of course, Jimmy Horn brings he and Hunter Renfro bring a much smaller guys here. But then again, you got Jimmy Horn Jr., who is a former long jumper in track, is also apparently is a track star. He's only 5'8", but the shiftiness he's shown is just really where it's at. But this ain't about him. This ain't about Renfro. This ain't about Leggett. This ain't about Coker. This ain't about Thielen. It's about Tet McMillan, the Tet Train. Now, when you back up and you look at where this is going, there were a lot of times Bryce had to throw balls away last season. And I said this on numerous shows, you guys. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, this ain't basketball. You don't get an offensive rebound. Guess what? You get the push. You still didn't give up any points. You throw up a ball here, you could lose the opportunity to score points on offense. Well, the thing is when plays break down, and we've seen many of plays where Bryce would just heave it out of bounds. And there were a couple of times, opportunities, if he throws that ball somewhat inbounds, but high to guys like a Tet McMillan, there's a possibility he could sky for it and make something out of it. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, well, don't risk it. Well, there's an opportunity there. I mean, let's keep it in perspective. What you do with a guy like Tetairoa McMillan now is you make defensive backs more aware. Even when Bryce is off platform and he's having to make something happen, there's still that possibility that he could throw it high and Tet could still go up and go get it. Yeah. I mean, that it goes back to what Canellis has said about having the basketball, the basketball team analogy. It's a great feel. And I think the Tetairoa McMillan train is going to be something that is going to be talked about a lot when it comes to the fact that you've got a big wide receiver that he's never had the privilege of being able to play with. Even at Alabama, he didn't have one. So this is going to be something to really, really monitor, guys. This is really going to be something fun to monitor. But we also saw backup guard Chandler Zavala suffered a patella tendon injury on Monday, but he will be week to week. This was later on. It wasn't a full tear, but it did happen during one-on-one pass rush drills with defensive lineman Derek Brown. Of course, that was Monday because as I reported earlier, Derek Brown basically participated in warm-up drills and some other lesser drills because today was not a pad day. Canellis also spoke on the shooting at the NFL headquarters, stating that he was devastated by it. He really wants people to feel that they can go to work safely and do their jobs, but it does hit close to home. But Brown worked on the sideline with general soreness in the oblique, not related. Brown's coming off a season-ending injury last season, but we'll keep building him the right way. And that's great to hear because, guys, and another note, Bobby Brown participated as well yesterday. I didn't get that in the show. Guys, when I tell you, if we get these two guys, just these two guys, forget Travell Wharton, you got two guys in excess of 6'3", 320 pounds. You get this kind of beef up front. Now, I get it. Travell Wharton is 280. But could you imagine getting Derek Brown, Bobby Brown, And the rookie out of Florida, Jackson, up there?
Ready.
Could you imagine
Game over.
the kind of front that, look, I get it. I know a lot of people are going to say, we still got to get the linebacking core right. Look, I don't care what these reporters say. We still got Roswell. The guy had 100 tackles last season. Why are we all of a sudden just looking over this guy? Yes, our depth is hit. I get it. Our depth did take a hit. But we got to go back and we got to look at it from this standpoint. Rosboom hasn't hurt yet. Trevin Wallace came out and he popped Chuba Hubbard. He is ready to go. And I'm going to say it like this. I truly believe with the way these guys have prepared, if Derek Brown is at 100%, you're looking at a defensive front with the rotation they're going to have. You're looking at a decent defensive front where you're going to get your linebackers, whether it be Wallace and Rosboom, that are going to be able to roam sideline to sideline, just picking away at whatever it is they want to scorch. I'm just saying, I don't think we have anything to worry about. A lot of you guys are worrying about the depth. I'm not. But let us also talk about somebody who is making Damani Richardson is not the only guy that is making waves in this secondary. We also got to go and look at a guy who also made some serious splash plays at practice today, despite the fact they weren't in pads. But the reality of it is, anytime you got a guy that is making plays and really being a huge contributor on the defensive side and really working his way towards a job, is going to be Shamar Bartholomew. This is a guy who, in my opinion, a lot of you guys are familiar with a guy named STO, Stanley Thomas Oliver, who's been away from here for, I think, a full season, maybe two. I remember this guy every year when training camp came about and preseason. This guy was a hitter. He was a straight up tackling machine. But for some reason, he just could not play his way onto the Panthers roster. But when you look at what Shamar Bartholomew has been able to do in practice, he picked off Bryce Young in 11 on 11s, and on the first series of the second period. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. He had a pass breakup on the first series of 11 on 11, and then the third series he had an INT on a Bryce Young pass. We've got to understand where we've got some dogs on this team. The problem we run into is people like in my field of work. We don't do the homework and understand that these plays mean something. When you get a guy like Shamar Bartholomew out here busting his can, trying to make this team, playing like this is a game, that's got to be taken into consideration. Hey, this guy is playing his butt off. I mean, unless he's just getting absolutely torched the other 100 times that the other 100 snaps he's taken. That's the only way I can look at this and say, Shamar Bartholomew is not the only guy that's making waves out there as well. We've got a guy that the Panthers have possibly looked at, but he's actually a guy who fell into free agency. This was a guy that I remember looking at during the draft and looking at what the Carolina Panthers have been able to take over the last couple of seasons. I look at a guy that they just snatched up who could easily play his way onto this roster according to Cat Crave's Amari Burris. And the guy's name is Mello Dotson. The Panthers have just recently signed this guy. He was a really great player out of the Big 12. He was so good in the Shrine Bowl that he was projected to be an early day 3 pick. And he not only fell in the draft, but he also fell completely out of the draft. The Raiders wasted no time in snatching him up and snatching a 6-foot cornerback up. but he was waived about a day or two ago, and he has that mentality. He's one of those guys that you keep you look at as you swing at a low risk high upside kind of guy. But what you want is a guy that has that dog in him, and Melo Dotson has that. He's one of those guys that when you think about a guy like J.C. Horn, a lot of people get upset because Mike Jackson does give up a lot. But then we also got to look at, was our pass rush effective enough for Mike Jackson to be a great cover corner? But then you need a guy who Melo fits. He had 24 pass deflections, 12 interceptions. Now, of course, I'm going by what Amari says because he's watched Melo more intimately than I did. I remember watching him in that game against Colorado, and I know they gave up a lot of points, but there were times that they made some big-time stops. His ability to force turnovers is something the Panthers have not had since Dante Jackson. Very true. It would take the pressure off the offense, giving them short fields to work with, and it could force teams to throw over the middle of the field. This is much more dangerous than testing corners on the boundary. Now, I got to sit there and I've got to interject in this because Shamar Bartholomew did that today. So you got to be weary of how you say this guy fits in as opposed to the guys that we already have. A lot of these guys just have not had their opportunity. STO was one of them. And I even thought the guy we just released earlier, late last week, Amari Barno. As I said, they like what they see of this guy, and needless to say, I think Shaw Smith-Wade, as average as he was, he could be a guy that's on the watch list, not the chopping block, but the watch list. He does a great job mirroring receivers in the off man and attacking the ball in the air, regardless of the position he is in. The rookie is also a great in zone, playing well in cover 6, cover 6, 3, and quarters, where he can keep his eyes on the quarterback and receiver at the same time. Dotson plays the position as if he's a safety at times, almost disregarding the receiver once he identifies the route concepts to make plays on the ball, something he accomplished effectively in college. His closing speed is one of the best aspects of his game, allowing him to recover when beaten, but more importantly, slam the window shut on quarterbacks when targeting his primary assignment. Well, I've seen some of that, but we also got to remember, this is the NFL. What may seem like an opportunity to recover may not be one. Now, I will say this. If this guy is that number 2, does that mean, all right, watch what I'm about to say, you guys. Does that mean he's going to cover the primary target of the opposing squad? Because I can tell you right now, if they can get away from J.C. Horn, think about Mike Jackson, 6'2", 6'3". And Melo Dotson is 6 foot at best, 190. Why wouldn't you want to put your Marvin Harrison Jr.? Why wouldn't you want to put your Mike Evans on a Melo? I don't care how much of a dog he is. That's a height mismatch you're not going to win. Listen, if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm looking over there and I'm saying, okay, J.C. Horn, no Mike Jackson, I'm going right after Melo. You must not allow him to get tied up with a Mike Evans. That's a no-no. That's got to be a no-no. That's got to be one of those games. If you're going to play Melo, you're making J.C. Horn chase after Mike Evans. There's no way I'm allowing him to be one-on-one. Not unless I'm giving him safety help. If that's the case, I'm telling Trevin Wallace or Rosboom that we're audibling out of this. We're audibling out of this. Blitz or no blitz, we audibling out of this. But I just wanted to throw that in there that we have another corner that, in my opinion, he's a good player. He was a day 3 pick. And I can honestly tell you, like Za Frazier that's in Chicago, he was a late round pick as well, who had great speed and great length. Same thing with Melo here. He's got great length for a guy 6 foot. And he's got that dog instinct. He's very quick. And he could very well be a guy that the Carolina Panthers look at and say, this guy's got what it takes to play on this team. Or to be a first or second down kind of guy, or to give, a guy like J.C. Horn or Mike Jackson or Shawway Smith a breather. Just like Shamar Bartholomew. You give them the opportunity to get a breather in there. But other than that, nothing's really going down here today. No injuries to report. And all in all, everything looks good. It's looking like we are going to get back to the pads tomorrow and see what our basketball team can do tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up down in the comments, you guys. Please make sure when you subscribe, you put your name down in there. It is imperative. I need it, guys. Need to know who you are. Also, make sure you go to the Facebook group, join that, and make sure you go to the Facebook page, join that, and befriend us over here so that you can catch up on all the wonderful things that we'll be caught up in, polls, you name it. And finally, go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all the shenanigans that I will be caught up in. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.